This episode of the SwitchCast is produced by the generous support of Sean Williams, our honored patron and Switch Knight. Hi everyone, I'm Casey.
And I'm JV.
And this is the SwitchCast, the podcast for the Nintendo Switch hype train. And we're moving along at full speed this evening, aren't we, JV?
Yeah, no kidding. We didn't get that much early notice about this Direct, but once we knew that this Direct was coming, the hype train went into full swing, and we got so excited for what was to come. But honestly, I did not expect to be as hyped about this as I am.
I don't get hyped up for these things. Like, I try to keep my calm. I try to, go in, not expecting too much. I don't like to be really hyped and then feel disappointed. But I could not help myself this time because, even in the community in general, I'm kind of a little bit more laid back and demure. But I went... This time I went to the Nintendo New York store for the showing of the Nintendo Direct there. And it's really hard not to kind of get just rolled up in that when you're surrounded by other, really hardcore Nintendo fans who are just, they just the energy, and they force me out of my grump mode.
Yes, it's actually probably the best environment to experience these Nintendo Directs. I think going over to Nintendo New York, immersing yourself with Nintendo fans and watching the new announcements, it seems like a really great time.
No, yeah, it was really fun, and a lot of the people from the community were there too, as always. It's always great to run into them. The main advantage, I guess, was just to get the reactions of people live, because honestly, not everyone can be excited about everything all the time. And there's definitely certain games that I just don't care as much about, but I still want to know if the community cares. So I was really able just to gauge reactions and be like, oh, people are cheering. I guess other people really care about this one, even though I've never looked at this twice. And what games people were a little disappointed or curious about. And I'm going to try to weave all that information in as we talk about the Direct and go through everything today.
Right, and I agree that perspective is really valuable, and I think that's impetus for you to keep going to these events live, Casey. I think it's a good perspective for us to discuss on the podcast.
Yeah, I think I am going to do this way from now on, at least as long as these take place at a time that I can go. Of course. Starting at 6 o'clock is a decent time. It's, I can get out of work a little early and just kind of run down there. So, and it's not like there's a lineup or anything like that, because they're not giving out swag, so people don't line up around the block just to watch the video. So yeah, it's a casual affair that I can do, and I probably will in the future.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to coverage of these little Nintendo Direct events in the future too. Yeah,
so I'm just going to tell, because I know there's probably a lot of people who are listening, maybe even just to hear our reaction to that. So I'm going to start including the timestamps again in the show notes. So if anyone's listening to this and just wants to hear our analysis and review of the Nintendo Direct, you can go check the notes, and there should be a link or a timestamp. Just you could skip ahead to that in case you're not interested in our review of the games we've been playing this week. And that's all you really came here for.
For sure.
I do want to share a couple of other little random things that came up this week. I keep mentioning this in the chat, but I wanted to bring it up on the show. I have a pro tip for people who want to make a few extra bucks for games and do something nice at the same time.
Okay, that sounds like a good proposition. What is it?
I have been donating platelets basically every other week at my local blood bank. And for those of you who sometimes you give blood and you go in, it's a 5-minute process, whatever. But you can actually, at least in New York, and I think other cities do this too, there are rewards programs that if you are a frequent donator of things like blood or that, they have a website where they keep track of your points and your donations, and you can earn prizes. And Nintendo Switch games are on the list of things that you can get, or just Amazon gift cards, which are another good way to do this too. And I've been doing this actually every other week now, because like regular blood, you can only give every couple of months, but platelets is a different kind of process. They actually give you your blood back. So, but it's a longer process. Like you have to go there for 2 hours. All right. But if you've got some time and you can make the schedule work, and especially now where there's like all these disasters happening around, not to make it sound like you're trying to profit from this, but they want people to come and they give you bonus points to encourage people. They really want you to come down and donate these things. And basically at this month right now, you can get a $25 Amazon card basically for one visit. So if people are interested in just like, you have a hard time finding money for some of these games, I highly recommend researching your local, whatever your city's blood bank or blood center is, and consider doing something good. They really need this stuff, and you get a little free money or from Switch games in the process. So definitely research that if you guys are interested.
Right. This is definitely important because platelets aren't as readily donated as just regular blood, and it has to be extracted separately during the time of donation. So it's a good cause. You guys should definitely consider it. I agree.
Yeah. They do call me up all the time now. That's the downside, is that they call me like the day after every donation. Hey, when do you want to come back? You want to come back next Wednesday and do it again? Like, oh, chill out. I'll come. I'll give you a call. But
now I do want to interject really quickly to celebrate a little achievement someone earned this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So we did have the Puyo Puyo Tetris tournament in the Discord chat, and we had a really awesome community involvement, and everyone was really great about it. But the winner is our very own Shellshock Prime. He is the #1 SwitchCast Puyo Puyo Tetris player.
At least I feel better now that he's won this tournament about all the times he's whooped me in the Switch Fest when we played like that game.
Oh, yeah?
I was just like, yeah. He was always really good. But I was like, it made me feel like, man, I'm a stink at this game. But no, he's just that good that I should not feel as bad about losing.
I'm super proud of you. Well done, Shellshock. You definitely sweeped the competition. And I do have to say, I personally am pretty good at this game too. And I feel like I can take him, Casey.
Oh yeah?
I feel like I can take the guy.
Okay, all right.
We still haven't arranged a game together, but I want to do it sometime.
All right, very cool. I think there was even just recently a balance patch in there, because I think there was something about Tetris had a little bit of disadvantage, so they
against Puyo,
yeah, so they added a little sort of thing. But no, that's great. About how many people did you have in the tournament anyway?
We had about 7 people.
Okay.
So it was a pretty last minute tournament. So a lot of people who expressed interest weren't able to fit it into the schedule. We'll be able to get a bigger tournament later on and in future single day tournaments. But people really expressed their desire for single day tournaments instead of more long running tournaments.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to do something every weekend, whether it's just a little small tournament that one of us runs, or like this weekend, segue, I'm doing the recording of our next Switch topics. I decided on Saturday evening I'm going to try to do this, and I sent a message out on Patreon to our Switch Nights and above, because part of the rewards, as we mentioned, was to come on a show and do a Switch topics and maybe even suggest a topic. So if anyone is interested in joining the Switch topics, definitely go check out that message, or just email me if you would like to possibly join our in-depth discussion of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which will just be a Switch topics, like an extra-sode, in which we'll record it, I'll put it together, I might post it in a couple of weeks, but it's going to be exclusive to patrons for a couple of weeks before we post it publicly. So even if you don't participate right now, you will still get first dibs on that, and then eventually I'll make it public to all.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to hear it because, I'm actually probably not going to be able to participate since I haven't beaten the game yet. And it's still a situation where I need to savor it, and I am waiting for some people to play with in order to beat it. So yeah, I'm on a different schedule than you guys.
Yeah, I don't. There's no need to force yourself to hasten, the play and beat it sooner, because this is a really big game. I really don't think there's any reason that you should spoil it by beating it out of your own personal schedule. I finally felt like it was a point where I could beat it, and I felt all right, even though I haven't done everything in the game. Maybe you want to complete more, or like you said, you want to beat it at the same time as some, friends or significant others, and,
yeah,
be part of it, be part of a communal aspect there, and that's great, but we'll still do it. And you know what? If anything, that means there's one more seat on the panel for a patron to sit in and join the show. So
absolutely. I absolve my spot to you, wonderful Switch knights and kings and kaisers.
Yes. And one last thing I wanted to just kind of mention. I just noticed this last week, and I love this. One of our members on the Discord chat, Cumulative, he's been doing these. I didn't realize he's been doing this every episode or so. He's been recapping the entire podcast after he listens to them, and he gives these detailed feedback bits with timestamps about almost every major thing that we discuss.
Yeah.
And he posts them in the Discord, and I'm almost tempted to just copy these and put them on the homepage for people to kind of use them as crib notes for the show.
Yeah, I mean, it is essentially a Spark Notes of our episode, though it is obviously directed and with his own opinions. But
yes,
yeah,
right.
Pretty cool stuff. I love people stepping up and doing extra stuff like that. Though speaking of stepping up and doing extra stuff, I want to give a shout out to Gatch as well. He sent me a whole bunch of Nintendo goodies like cases and accessories to either review or to share with the community as prizes. So, Gatch, awesome. You are a wonderful, beautiful human being. Thank you for contributing to the community that way. I hope to do you proud with these accessories as prizes or as a review.
Awesome. And speaking of things to review, maybe we should go right now and shift into the game time.
Yes, let us actually review games.
All right, JV, do you want to kick us off, or should I lead us this time?
I can start us off. I've been playing a bit of a quicker game. It's not as involved as any of the other games I've been playing, but I picked up Semispheres on the Nintendo Switch, and it's actually pretty interesting, Casey.
I know nothing about this other than a couple of random screenshots I saw, so I'm very interested to hear what this even is.
So, the Semispheres is calling itself a, quote, meditative parallel puzzle game. Ooh. And I like how it describes itself. It's apparently placing dual realities at the heart of its challenge. So when you boot up the game, there is really no dialogue whatsoever. It starts you off, you go into a screen, and it's all symbols. So the game, right from the get-go, is very calm, serene, and pretty soothing. The colors are soft orange and blue, and the ambiance of the thing is pretty chill, which is a different take on puzzle games. But what's interesting about Semispheres itself is that it's one of those split screen control two things with one brain puzzle game.
Okay.
Right. So you have a map, and it splits off into two maps, and with the right joystick you control the right blue side, and with the left joystick you control the left orange side. Mm-hmm. And the puzzles in this game are generally you trying to move your character around through these little small mazes and get to the goalpost of each side. And it's what's interesting is that it kind of almost feels like a stealth game.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're controlling the jellyfish on each side, and there's these little glowing enemies that have vision ranges that are kind of reminiscent to those Metal Gear Solid vision range. You know how in Metal Gear you can see where the enemy soldiers are able to see?
Right, yeah,
and
like
you
on
have
a
to
little map.
sneak around it. Mm-hmm. Right. In this game, when you're trying to move around the map, you have to avoid the vision of the enemies. And the puzzle comes in trying to figure out how to maneuver both of the screens, sometimes simultaneously.
Now, why do you have to do it simultaneously? Are they both controlled like in some linked way, or?
They're not directly controlled. You can independently move the right side differently from the left side piece, and you cannot. They never converge because they are two separate maps on each side.
Okay.
But the most interesting and kind of mind-boggling mechanic of this game is the portal system.
Okay.
It works kind of similar to Portal in the sense that there are different portals that essentially bring one side to the existence of the other. It's a little hard to describe, but let's say you're in the left side and you're controlling the orange jellyfish.
Okay.
There could be a blue circle that's a portal to the other side. So when you bring your orange jellyfish to that blue portal, you appear on the right side in that exact spot.
Okay.
And you essentially use that to trigger your pulse ability, which attracts those yellow soldier searchers to your position. And the primary puzzle is to use the portal to bring one side to the other side, distract the guard blobs into...
They're called guard blobs?
No, I'm just going to call it guard blobs.
Oh, okay.
These guard blobs into the position that you pulsed, and then on the right side move to the end point of that stage.
All right.
You have to do this on both sides, and once both jellyfish reach the end spots of their stages, you move on to the next level. Okay. It's a bit hard to describe, but there's definitely a lot of abstract thought to it.
Okay, so if I get it right, you're controlling left jellyfish and controlling right jellyfish. Now, the only thing that stops you from just playing through the entire right side and then just playing through the entire left side separately is that you sometimes have to use these portals to jump to the other side and kind of distract the like-colored guard blobs with...
Right.
That jellyfish so that the other guy can kind of get through.
Right, exactly. Outside of the portal, you can't exist on the other side. So the blue jellyfish can only exist on the orange side within that small portal. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you have to do a bit of gymnastics to distract the guard blob, bring them over here, then control your right side all the way to the edge of a certain area. Then you have to set up a portal here, distract the other guard on the other side to get your left side character to go into the portal. It gets really intense because of how much mind switching and focus differentiation you have to do.
So I guess the question then does it feel more puzzly or does it feel more like multitasky? Is it just a matter of being like ambidextrous, or is there let me figure out what I have to do here and then just execute it in that right order?
I feel like it's a bit more of the latter. I never felt like I needed to control both of the jellyfish at exactly the same time.
Okay.
It might be a challenge that I'll run into later on in the harder levels. It's absolutely more puzzly. There's a lot of times when you just take a moment to figure out what your strategy would be, how you're going to activate the distraction beacon to pull them out, and in what order.
Okay.
Once you figure it out, it's all about execution. And most of the time so far, I've been controlling the characters on the right side, then quickly on the left, then quickly on the right, then quickly on the left. I never felt like I had to do it simultaneously yet.
All right. How far have you gotten in it so far?
I've gotten through about 15 to 20 stages, and it's not that big of a game. I believe there's 50 total.
Okay.
And there's a very light story that you see every 5 levels. It's essentially a comic book, and I'm not going to spoil that, but it's practically non-existent. And as complicated as the mechanics sounds when describing it, it's a very simple game. You'll pick it up really quickly. This game didn't need any text to really explain what's going on.
Okay. Now, what about this art? It sounds like something pretty surreal, like jellyfish floating around in interdimensional portals going back and forth here. Is it all presented in kind of an artistic way, or does it look like, or is it just totally abstract?
It's mostly abstract. You don't know if it's a sea or a space or anything like that. And that aspect of it doesn't matter. The aesthetic is really nice because there is a very vivid blue and a very vivid orange on each side, and there's kind of like a lightning bolt wall that you maneuver around. But other than that, the aesthetic is not something that really adds or subtracts to the experience.
I'm going to call this Puzzle Ikaruga.
Yeah, it's not as hardcore. It's definitely not stressful or strenuous, but the intensity comes with figuring out the puzzles and executing them once you figured it out. Okay. I do want to say that it would be very mind-boggling to figure out how to create these levels, and I definitely would love to get into the mind of the creator of this game just to figure out how he figured out all these puzzles to make for people.
Okay. Maybe we'll do just that. Who knows?
Maybe we will.
All right.
Maybe we will.
That's Semispheres, and that should be on the eShop as we speak this to you over the podcast world.
Yes.
Also out as of today, I've gotten my hands on Kingdom New Lands for the Switch eShop. This actually, and also I just want to note, because maybe you saw this under the name Kingdom 2 Crowns, I think they were trying to implement a 2-player version of this game in the past, but I heard some things like it was tricky to work out, and I think they just kind of went with keeping it simple, keeping it a 1-player game, and bringing the full version released onto the Switch here. Now, I'm going to say, this game very much thrives on the mystery of picking it up and not knowing what the heck you're doing.
Really?
Yeah, it's another one of these games where it's like if you just sat down and read a guide, and there are those online that just told you everything, like if you build this is what this does. If you give this guy this money, this is what happens. It would probably still be enjoyable, but I think this unknown, this mystery is a great draw of this game, and it's what has gotten me very addicted to it this week, of just like, it's almost like a page turner. It's like I do thing in the beginning of this, this hour, and then I want to play one more turn or one more day of this game just to see what happens when I did that. So
okay, I did not expect that to be the draw of this game. I expected it just to be a pretty straightforward experience.
No, very much not. So the basic gameplay of this is you are a king or queen. You can pick different color and character combinations, but you're just a royal figure on a horse who lands on this continent, and you have to build for yourself a kingdom, and you ride off, and you pick up some gold coins, and there are various things to put those gold coins towards on the stage as you go back and forth on this little 2D plane. You start out, you just build a little camp, you start a fire, you basically recruit a couple of these poor, peasants to join your team. You buy equipment, either you get them like a bow or a hammer, and that makes them either an archer or, a worker. And then you go out and you just kind of see what your money can do on other things or that you can interact with. There's, just to give you some examples without spoiling too many of these things, some of the basic ones are, some of the most basic stuff you'll do is build a wall here or build a guard tower. That's very important because time goes by in this game, and let's say every couple of minutes, night falls. And then these little demonic creatures start pouring out of some portal on one end of the map.
Then.
And they start coming at you, and it kind of becomes a little bit of a tower defense game where your guys in towers will start shooting them, and then they'll hit your walls, and you just, hopefully your guys can kill them before they, pillage your town and kill you. But that's just part of it. That's just like this looming threat, the thing that keeps you from just, building with uncontested. So then you start figuring out, all right, what happens if I give this guy who just wandered into town money? What does he do? How do I make farmlands do? What is building on this waterfront do? And just kind of like paying attention to all those things is you'll slowly start putting it together. And there's always more of these. Even figuring out the end goal of the scenario is kind of part of this mystery. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you'll start exploring. Every chance you get some breathing room, you might go exploring in one direction or the other, and you'll find something, and you'll say, ooh, should I dump a bunch of money into, like, building this or making this thing work? Or should I just focus on defense and just ignore this thing? And then, that's part of the interest of this.
So that's surprising, because I completely expected this game to be just a straightforward tower defense style game. I didn't expect there to be any exploration or any intrigue whatsoever.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that too. In fact, I will say that there are multiple stages of the game in that you can beat this map, let's say, and you'll go on and there'll be a new map online. I guess that's why this is New Lands, maybe. Maybe there was only one map in the beginning and they added. And then when you go to the next map, it's the same game, but now there's like a new, different challenge. Like there might be, well, let's just say on the first level, there's a portal on one side of the map, and that's it. So you only have to worry about things coming there. But then on the second map, there's portals on both sides, and now you have to defend your town from the left and the right equally. Otherwise, you're in trouble. There's a lot of subtle things that are also really interesting in this game in that, let's say, how the environment and the world changes. Let's say you start cutting down trees for resources, and, there'll be parts of the map where as you're riding through, it gets very dark and things get very creepy. But if you start cutting down trees, slowly the background reflects those trees that you've cut down, and it'll start becoming like empty plains over time, and like other things will grow, and just things change and evolve. And as days go by, a lot of other things might change too. So it was very fascinating and kind of presented other new challenges to deal with there. So I will say, gameplay wise, some of the things though is that you might want to know when you're going to this game, if you decide to pick it up, is that it's not an action-heavy game. You're not always doing something. For large parts of it, you might just be riding on your horse in one direction, hoping to find something, and maybe you don't. Or there's parts of the game where the best move is just not to do something. Don't go, because maybe you'll tell someone to go build something. Oh, but it's like evening and you're actually telling them to go build something in a very dangerous place. You might just want to wait till the next dawn. And the best thing to do is just hunker down, wait, and maybe watch the attack that as it happens there. So it's definitely a game for people who are willing to be patient and just kind of enjoy the ambiance, because the game is very beautiful in that. It's pixel art, but as I said, it has this cool flow of the way that everything changes, and the environments are all nice and serene, and the music, the best way to describe the music is it feels like chiptune Zelda music. Like it's that very it's just environmental, relaxing kind of thing, but it's this chiptuney stuff. But then every so often, something really scary happens, and then the music changes, and then the moon turns a color. And I'm not going to say what happens, but just some stuff hits
something
the fan.
happens.
Yes, something happens. If I'm even there to see it. That's the worst part, is things, I know something weird's happening, but maybe I'm in the wrong part of the map to see what happens, and I don't know. And then I just go back, and then half my town is dead because I wasn't there to see
happened.
What... Yeah, right, that's part of this game. It's very creepy like that, and it's one of those games where I picked it up, and before I know it, 6 hours go by.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with how you're describing this game, and yeah, something that I'll definitely check out.
Very cool. No, yeah, this definitely gets a thumbs up from me, and even after today, I'm going to see. I've gotten up to only the second island, and I'm intrigued to see where else I can go in this game and what other challenges it's going to throw at me.
Okay.
All right. So we have a ton of things to go over in the Nintendo Direct today, so let's not waste another minute and go into the Nintendo Direct rundown.
Let's do it.
All right, Nintendo Direct time. We have a ton of things that they showed off. Some of the stuff that we have seen before. A few things were new. And again, I will try to share with you the general reactions of everybody as they were revealed at Direct. So, first things first, we finally got a deeper look at Xenoblade Chronicles.
Right, and I did not expect to see as much support for this game as they did. They really dove in and described quite a bit of the details in this game, and a lot of it really excites me, Casey.
It was. Honestly, I've been kind of lukewarm on the Xenoblade series up until for the most recent times. I've never really paid too much attention to it. I just like, all right, it's a cool RPG, has a nice setting, but I will say this in-depth look made it something that I'm a lot more interested in now.
Yeah, I'm very impressed, and I'm really glad that a franchise that like Xenoblade Chronicles, which feels like a full, deep JRPG, is now under the belt of Nintendo.
Yeah. It also it gave me a lot of feelings of like Phantasy Star as I watched this. It's
exactly.
It's that mix of sci fantasy that I really eat up, and I've been hungry for a Phantasy Star forever, as I've mentioned, but this looks like it might be the next best thing I can find for the Switch.
Exactly. Now, the Nintendo Direct started off with Xenoblade Chronicles, and they started off describing the various nations in the game, and you can see that there were a lot of different civilizations, and they have their own personalities. And right from the get-go, I was intrigued and curious to think just how deep we're going to get into the politics of these nations, Casey.
Yeah, I like that they made it clear this isn't like a two-sided story. You know, here's the good guy, here's the bad guy nation, or like here's the one bad guy nation and all the others who, you know, must team up to unite against the evil empire. It just seemed like, yeah, there are 6 groups and they all have different motivations, and even though one kind of looked like the evil one, I'm willing to accept that they probably aren't just pure darkness, you know?
Right. And I know as soon as they started describing the different nations and how they contribute to the whole society and everything like that, we made jokes about how it's very Game of Xenothronesian.
Yeah, okay, that definitely seems appropriate. I did like the shtick they kind of they showed us of this game with the Titans and how the world is literally built on the backs of these just enormous, fantastic creatures floating around the sky.
Right. That's definitely reminiscent of the original Xenoblade Chronicles because, yes, it was the same there where 2 giant gods were frozen in place in the middle of battle, and civilizations were built on the backs of those gods.
Okay, so these ones are not frozen, obviously, and they are alive and kicking and moving, and one of them even seems to talk to our main character and is your mentor / pet, because he turns into a little cat dude.
Yeah, and honestly, I found the contrast between old, wizened man voice with a cute, cuddly companion. I love that dynamic, and I'm excited to see how this character plays out in the game proper.
Yeah, it was some good world building, though. Like, there's just that idea of these, because they you're literally going to be exploring these titans as locations / characters. It was kind of cool to see them all. I gotta say, everybody had a crazy different accent in here. I'm getting the feeling that maybe each of the nations are the ones that carry these accents. All I know is everybody had a pretty weird, different
Diverse
voice. Yeah, pretty diverse.
Yeah, there was a diverse set of accents, and I really enjoy that. It's a great way for them to differentiate between nations.
Yeah,
just
probably
through an audible method.
So the combat system, they have the driver blade system, and I thought these were backwards named in my opinion, but so apparently the drivers are the people who actually fight in battles, and that's
right.
And then the blade is the person or the synthetic life form who augments the driver and gives him his weapon, and they kind of just show them feeding the fighting character energy that powers his either sword, or they showed a whole bunch of different weapons from
right
axes
exactly
to what looked like a laser soccer ball. One of the versions they showed.
It's definitely an interesting dynamic, and Xenoblade Chronicles gameplay has always been quite fun, and it always teeters between a turn-based MMO experience with a positional real-time attack system.
Yeah, that was pretty cool seeing how you actually I like the live battle system, kind of like Final Fantasy 12-ish, or a lot of the later Final Fantasies where you move around and you kind of just have a constant stream of attacks, and then you just activate certain skills at certain times.
Right. It's very MMO-like in that way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But what I found interesting was that they hinted at some sort of randomness system to acquiring blades.
Yeah.
They even had a screen that was similar to how gacha games on mobile devices are laid out. Did you notice that, Casey?
I didn't see what you were talking about. No, I don't think so.
Right. So they described how each blade can be unlocked through synthesizing this device, and once you unlock it, if you get lucky, you get stronger blades.
Okay, I did remember them saying how you can get lucky, and then they showed that little bunny dude getting unlocked.
Yeah, and each of those blades is encompassed by a character, and I believe you might get stronger versions of that character if you get luckier than usual, and that system wasn't described as much, but it intrigued me.
Yeah. It seemed like a lot of them were the generic looking, the robotic looking characters. And then there was a couple that are if you get lucky, you unlock the unique character look.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited to see that style. I have to be honest, gacha games do kind of give me that dopamine hit when I get something really rare. But if they don't include microtransactions with this, I think it's going to be really dangerous in a positive way.
Yeah, I could see that. I doubt they'll have a kind of microtransaction-y thing in there.
But ultimately, the battle system looks dynamic. It looks very fluid and active, and so it's reminiscent of old Xenoblade Chronicles games taken to the next level.
Never played one, but this one looked interesting. So yeah, all right. I actually was somewhat won over with this. I probably won't buy the special edition they announced though, but I think we've seen this before. So many special editions, I forget which ones are announced, but they did show off the special edition with a sound CD, a metal game case, and a 220-page hardbound art book.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you Xenoblade fans can sink your teeth into, but not any killer app for non-fans.
Yeah.
Not bad. What did excite me most, though, was the Xenoblade-themed Pro Controller.
Yes, and I'm in the market for a Pro Controller, and I can't settle for a non-thematic one now.
Yeah, it has red grips with the X mark shine on the left control stick. I like it. I like it a lot, Casey.
Okay, I will consider this one. But that game is coming out December 1st, so you have a little bit of time before we have to decide whether they get special edition or not, or the theme Pro Controller or not.
Right.
Moving on to Splatoon 2, just some update stuff they showed off, but a couple of pretty cool things. We got the new couple of arenas.
Right, they have Snapper Canal, which is interesting because it has a river running through it. So one of the map mechanics would be to figure out how to get across to the enemy side.
Yes, I could see a lot of people just thinking it's safe to jump across, and then just someone with a roller waiting for you on the other side, and just, you walk into the grinder.
Right, exactly. And they're even bringing back Kelp Dome, though they're changing it up and adding more elevated grate platforms.
Yeah, so you're going to be shooting up and down through the grates, which is different. That definitely provides a different style of combat to a lot of the stages so far. Both of these add a pretty unique dynamic, and so they're not just other arenas. They are new challenges to take on.
Yes. Now, what excited me with the Splatoon announcement was the tent umbrella.
Yikes.
It is it's an umbrella shield that is massive. As soon as I saw it, I couldn't help but think of Reinhardt's shield in Overwatch. It's a very big screen that looks like it can cover even your teammates if they get pretty close to you.
Yeah, I think you could cover, at least one teammate on each side could be a really good way to push forward. Seems tactically interesting.
Yeah, right. So that's a cool thing that's coming out soon.
Yes, and in fact, Kelp Dome will be available Friday evening, so you can start playing that pretty soon.
Right.
Fire Emblem Warriors, they just showed off a new character for that, and fans of the original, the original for us, Fire Emblem would be Lyn, who was the, green-haired grasslands warrior princess, and I was always a big fan of her because she was the character you play through the quote-unquote tutorial missions in that game, and she's my first character I ever played in any Fire Emblem, so I guess impressioning has just forced her to be a favorite of mine. So I was actually really cool to see her there.
Yes, Lyn is a fan favorite since the beginning of its release in North America, and we're getting a collector set, which comes with a game, some art cards, and a 3 CD music set.
Yes.
I pre-ordered this, Casey.
Oh, all right. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. They're also bringing in amiibos for Crom and Tiki.
Yes, very cool.
Which is pretty cool, too.
And that's all coming out October 20th. One surprise for the night was Snipperclips Plus, Cut It Out Together, the expansion, which is basically a DLC pack, or you can buy the whole game in stores they mentioned. So you could either buy Snipperclips Plus with this DLC pack as one whole game, or if you already own regular Snipperclips from the eShop, you can get this as a expansion to that version. This adds 30 new stages, including some worlds based on comic books and a toy box thing, and changes the art up for even the characters in some cool ways. And it also throws in the option to replay the old stages, but with a new little hook in that your characters will be starting out in different random shapes, so you might have to try something new in order to solve the stages in another way.
I was very impressed with how they handled this announcement, because when they revealed Snipperclips Plus, people were excited on the Discord chat, but we weren't sure how it was going to handled, and whether this is a sequel or we're going to have to rebuy the whole game again. But the fact that you can purchase just a DLC expansion pack if you already own the initial game is really consumer friendly.
Yeah, good. Always nice to have the options. And, Snipperclips was one of those first titles I played, period, on the Switch. And it is my default, I want to show someone how this Switch works. I load up Snipperclips and we play some co-op stages together, and it usually sells people on what the Switch is all about. So just having more stuff. Though honestly, I rarely get to play through this with anyone till I've beaten it. So I think I still have a good... I have not exhausted the usefulness of original Snipperclips to warrant the DLC. But I think a lot of people who've maybe played through it totally with a friend or a significant other could always enjoy more stages.
Right. That's definitely... It's good that they're recognizing that Snipperclips is a kind of hidden gem. Yeah. And that we should have more content for it.
True. Yeah, they did give it a pretty good focus.
Yes, exactly.
We saw Morphies Law again. This was another one that we saw already in the Nindies Direct, so it wasn't anything too new. I think I didn't notice the grappling hook in the last trailer we saw.
Right, so there goes even more Attack on Titan comparisons.
Yeah, it's true. Right. And we got a release date that this is coming out in winter. And just to recap what the game is, JV.
It's essentially a third-person shooter where if you shoot the limbs of an enemy or even an ally, their limb gets smaller while your limb of the equivalent shot gets bigger. And those different combinations of expanded limbs give you different abilities, and that's how you essentially win the game.
I wonder if they'll give you like a few seconds before the start of a match for you to like augment your teammates, be like
as needed.
Yeah, just like oh, Steve, let's give him giant legs so he can jump really high, and let's give this guy the big arms so he can have better grappling hook effects, like things like that, or I want one small guy so he can get up here.
It seems like that's something that they're going to do. The ultimate win condition is to get to absorb as much mass from the enemies to throw into your
mascot
avatar. Yeah, mascot, your mascot character. The gameplay looks interesting to me, though a lot of people have noted that the art style is not necessarily the most appealing.
It has that weird luchador kind of Day of the Dead Mexican kind of look to it.
Yeah. And while I definitely like that aesthetic in general, I'm not a fan of it in this particular implementation. But we'll see.
You know what I just realized, though? the implication of that kind of gameplay. There's, as far as I can tell, no death or respawning.
Yeah, you're
You just steal the mass, so every bullet, every hit is a score for your team, but you're never killed. You're never knocked down and have to wait to respawn. You just can get shot until you're such a small target that you just gotta run away. And but it doesn't look like your character is ever eliminated and has to come back from the dead.
Yeah, that is a very good point, and I'm actually really hoping this game gets its fair due.
Yeah.
This idea is pretty novel, and I think it deserves being explored.
I think it's worth giving a shot. That's it.
Yes.
That was not intended. Morphies Law is coming out this winter.
Now, something else that's coming out in the holiday season is Rocket League. We finally have a date for this, or at least a date window.
Yep. Well, we did say they had to announce a few big things for the holiday season, and I think Rocket League, that's definitely going to be on a lot of people's Christmas list.
I know a lot of people who have the Switch, played through Zelda, and are kind of done with the Switch, but Rocket League is the next big game that's bringing them back in.
Okay.
It's going to have all the modes from the pre-existing Rocket League releases, but we do have a couple Nintendo exclusives. There are Mario and Luigi toppers for your vehicles now.
Is that what they call skins, a topper?
Yeah, because you can essentially put a hat on your car, and then just that's part of the aesthetic that you can change.
So it's probably going to be just like a Mario or a Brothers topper, because it sounds like if you're on the blue team, your topper makes you a Luigi, but if you're on the orange team, the same topper makes you Mario.
Right, yes, and that's definitely a good way to differentiate and not confuse your things. Now, what's very cool is that Rocket League is going to have local wireless multiplayer for the very first time, and that'll allow you to play locally, wirelessly with your friends, and that's not something that's... obviously an exclusive feature to the Switch.
Right. I guess the only other way to play with local people would be if you had a LAN connection on your PCs.
Yeah,
basically, that'd be the only other way. Otherwise, there's always online play.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be awesome for anyone who wants to get into competitive Rocket League. We mentioned it in the past. The pro Rocket League scene prefers controllers, so this is just perfect for them to practice on the go.
Very cool, very cool. We got to look at the first MOBA for the Switch, and this is something I've never heard of before. Never saw a teaser for Arena of Valor. And I gotta say, I mean, I was still holding out a very distant shot. I always thought Vainglory would be a great game to bring over to here. But I'll try any MOBA, as after that game got me into the MOBA genre, and I would love to get a team. Though I didn't feel like what they showed of this game had any like real hook. They just kind of showed, I hate to say, just generic MOBA stuff.
Right, I can agree with you there. What was exciting is the fact that a MOBA is coming to the Switch, but this particular game doesn't necessarily have anything that stands out to me.
Right.
So I'm excited that there is a MOBA.
Yeah.
But it looks like, a typical generic MOBA that doesn't necessarily have anything special to it. Right.
They showed off they have 5v5, 3v3. That's what I'm used to. 5v5, I know, is like huge. That's like the main thing. But Vainglory got me hooked on the 3v3 type. A little more easier to manage. 1v1, they'd have to do something interesting to make that interesting. So maybe they'd have something for that. And a mode called Hook Wars. And no idea what that is. But I guess we'll see as more of this comes out. I think they need to push whatever character this game has, if there's literal characters that make it interesting, kind of go the Overwatch direction. There's got to be something they have to show us in the future to like make us excited for this and make it stand out as a MOBA.
Okay, so it looks like Arena of Valor is a mobile game that they're bringing over to the Switch.
Okay, so they almost did exactly what I want. Of all the, I've played a lot of mobile MOBAs. I never even played Arena of Valor, so that's...
Yes, it's relatively new, and it looks like they actually have some DC characters in here. I see Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman on the front cover of the Arena of Valor website.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty intrigued. Apparently has a 10-minute playtime, which is good. I think it's worth a shot for us.
Hey, I want to like it. I like I said, I got into MOBAs after playing them on mobile phone. So if this is a newer mobile MOBA being brought over, I'm willing to look past that it's not Vainglory and give it a shot. But it has to hook me with at least one of the characters. I am very superficial. It could be perfect mechanically. I need a character that I'm like, yes, that is who I want to be.
You can latch onto.
Yeah.
We'll see if there's a mecha character that I can latch onto. Okay, so you know how much I love those.
Yes.
In everything.
Anyway, the beta for that is coming out winter, and so you'll be able to try that out for free come then.
Yes.
Skyrim, November 17th. They confirmed a date for that. That's huge. And other than that, didn't really show anything we hadn't seen before.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's November 17th. October is filled with such heavy-hitting games, and we were wondering what was going to happen after that October window. But now November's filling up with a lot of great games. Skyrim's on November 17th, and that's going to be fun.
Hey, it feels like a good time because honestly, like everybody's finishing up Zelda now, who even us slowpokes, that was the big thing we felt the only reason it didn't come out on release, or it shouldn't have come out on release date for the Switch. So they gave everybody enough time to like get Zelda out of their system, not only beat it, but maybe just be like, play something else in the interim and rebuild your desire to play something in-depth, explorative. Is that a word?
Explorative.
Yeah.
Sure.
Kind of, experience.
Now, I do like that Skyrim interacts with amiibos, and you can get pretty exclusive Legend of Zelda gear for the game.
Right.
Though, they did imply that you're able to get the gear without the amiibos, which is another interesting take.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Find out where that's hidden.
Yep. So as I mentioned, Skyrim, November 17th.
Yes. Now, honestly, this is the big surprise. This is the game, the next announcement is the one that got the biggest cheer from the crowd at the event.
Really? Well, I'm not surprised, to be honest. This was completely out of left field, Casey.
I guess. So sure.
No, yes. So apparently, Doom, the newest Doom, and Wolfenstein 2 are coming to the Nintendo Switch. Mm-hmm. My mind is blown. I know that there was talks between Nintendo and Bethesda for them to partner a bit more, but I did not expect something like this.
I mean, it's cool. I mean, I respect that people are excited about this. It's just like not a game that I get excited for. So I was just like,
right.
Oh, Doom, Wolfenstein, cute. It's cool. But everyone else was like, yeah!
Yeah. On my side, what fascinates me about this and what gets me so pumped about it is that Doom and Wolfenstein 2 are current-gen games. Mm-hmm. Doom was released on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Now they're porting this current-gen game over to the Switch, and that has so many implications around it. Mm. What other publishers are going to bring games from the current gen over to the Switch? Is this even possible? Will it perform well? I think this is a vanguard for current gen games to be released on the Switch without so many concessions.
Okay. All right. That's a very valid analysis. And now you've gotten me interested to see how these do. I'm not going to... These aren't games I'm going to buy, but I'm definitely interested to see how they get brought over.
Right. And Doom launched in 2016, and it got pretty great, a great reception. And what fascinates me most is that they're even bringing in the online multiplayer of Doom, which was pretty expansive, and people liked it pretty well.
All right.
So it gives hope for a lot of games. Now, I did want to bring up, KC, the Doom game is going to be released in a physical cartridge, but the multiplayer mode is digital only.
Oh.
Which means you have to have a separate download to throw in to get access to the online multiplayer modes.
Another reason we have to buy those SD cards.
Right, and I think, and at this point, it's really, I feel like it's going to be standard. And it's not necessarily anything that based on greed. I think it's based on space necessity.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, like I said, I'm willing to go. So, yeah, Doom coming out holiday this year. Wolfenstein 2 is coming out 2018.
Yeah, I think this is a big deal.
All right. I'll take your word for it and that of the crowd.
Yeah. Now, Flip Wars, which is already available now, is coming out with a couple new modes, Casey.
Yeah, a little update we got for it.
Yeah, so there's a new online battle mode that includes class matches, which is a bit of a ranking system that ranks you with people of a similar class. They're even including leaderboards and different red Coliseum mode where you have flame panels that punish you more if you touch them.
Yeah.
Which is just more elements of gameplay to diversify the experience.
Yeah, they also added, one of the stages showed some stages had these spinner things. It kind of looks like the different arenas from like Bomberman. Again, it's a very Bomberman-ish game. It's a very different gameplay, but it feels like in the same world.
Right, it's definitely different gameplay, but it shares that same top-down multiplayer frenetic itch, which is cool. What's interesting is that they're also including local wireless multiplayer, so you're not forced to be on the same screen when you're playing with friends.
Yeah.
And this is a completely free update, so good job supporting your game past launch.
Mm-hmm. Then they showed us because the one thing everybody kept asking about is Virtual Console. Is it Virtual Console going to be announced? And I didn't think they were going to show or announce anything Virtual Console, not until December or January. I don't think, basically I think that'll coincide with the launch of us actually paying for the online service. So that was all the more reason people are getting very anxious when they started seeing Mario Brothers scenes and little clips of like original just Mario Brothers, and people are like, is this Virtual Console? And then it just turned out to be this game, Arcade Archives Mario Brothers, which is a kind of a virtual console compilation game. It had, they showed Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, Clue Land, Ice Climbers, old school arcade Punch Out. So it's arcade versions, arcade games, all kind of collected together. It's cool. It looked like a lot of different games. But
yeah,
for this crowd, it was just got them angry.
Oh, really?
They were angry. They wanted just virtual console.
Surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, Casey, because it felt a little bit like a bait and switch.
Yeah.
Though it is good to note that the arcade versions of these classic games really had a bit more to them sometimes because of just the sheer size difference that an arcade cartridge and an NES cartridge would allow.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to turn one upside. And maybe this is just a naive kind of assumption, but I'm going to guess that if they're putting all these games out in some compilation game like this, there's a chance they might not shovel these out as like early virtual console releases. The kind of games that are like, oh, why did you bring this out? I just wanted you to put out like, something real, like Super Mario 3 or, like the big games. If they put all these kind of smaller games together like this, they might not clog up the lineup in the actual virtual console. Hopefully.
Maybe. And with these arcade archives, they did kind of focus more on multiplayer experiences. Mm-hmm. So it was versus Mario, versus Ice Climbers, etc. Yeah. So maybe that's what this focus is, but it is coming out pretty soon, September 27th.
Yep. Then they showed us the Zelda Champions amiibos, which are coming out November 10th. It's the 4, heroes that from the Breath of the Wild, and in addition to the characters and some items that you get, they showed off the headgear that they're the exclusive items that you get from using them, and their headgear all match the divine beasts associated with each character, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I dig that, for sure.
And they also noted they have some functional advantages, whatever that means. I don't know. It has some usefulness to them.
Yeah. They were pretty light on Zelda news in this Direct, which is surprising to some people.
We did expect some announcement of the next DLC pack or something like that,
Yeah. Oh, well.
They just listed a whole bunch they put together 4 sports games together. Well, 3 sports, and I guess technically is Pokemon a sport? In their world it is.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Fantasy sport.
Yeah. NBA 2K18 coming September 15th on the eShop, October 17th in retail. WWE 2K18 coming soon.
TM.
Yeah, FIFA 18, September 29th, and then Pokken Tournament DX, September 22nd.
Yes.
Nothing really new announced on any of those, just showed us some pictures.
Yeah, and some dates.
Yeah. Now, this was the thing that, honestly, and I've been championing this game for a while, but at the Direct, I had to tell people constantly while they were showing this game, stop looking disappointed. Trust me, this game is worth paying attention to. And I'm just very relieved that a lot of people in our community have gone all along with me on this and are getting hyped for this game as well.
Oh, so the people were a little bit disappointed over there in the Nintendo New York headquarters?
They were just ignoring it. They were just like, oh, because they were all like, oh, bring Final Fantasy. And then it's like, oh, Project Octopath. Oh, and they were just like, their eyes glazed over and started looking. But I was like, no, guys, stop. Look at this. This is good. Trust me.
So people were a bit dismissive of it, it seems. But I think Nintendo really showcased it well in that Nintendo Direct.
Yes, I'm actually glad they had subtitles for the intro of this, because I forgot to mention, I couldn't hear anything they were saying during this presentation because there was just so many people talking, laughing, cheering, heckling. I couldn't make out words for most of it, and I had to watch it again when I came home. But I did get to focus on the visuals. But this had subtitles, so I was able to follow most of this.
Okay.
But so they showed off. This is the Square Enix HD 2D art game. And so that is a combination of pixel sprites and HD backgrounds that are very, like, it's like real art backgrounds, like pre-rendered, but 2D pixel people. There are 8 different characters, and you will choose between them. I've been getting a little bit of a Saga type vibe from this, like the Saga series of RPGs, in that those were very big on pick which path you want to go down, which character do you want to play as. Kind of like that one, Legend of Legacy, which was a 3DS game.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, and you picked from different characters in that, and you would go and then, just kind of like be let free to explore and go your own direction. And that's what those kind of... So I've been getting a little bit of that vibe in this. But the real key that they showed off here were the path actions. And the path actions were special abilities, not just like combat abilities, but like character choices that are available to each player, to each of the 8 characters. And the 2 they showed off was the warrior dude, who can challenge like anyone in the game, any NPC in any town, to a duel, and you can use that to either say, oh, I'm going to get this guard out of the way, or maybe I'm going to earn this kid's respect or train somebody up. And so, yeah, you choose who you want to challenge to duels, and that's how you advance his story, by picking that. And then they showed that the dancer who had the allure ability, and she kind of treated people like Pokemon, where you would go around town and recruit people or charm people into helping you. And I thought it was interesting. It was a small thing, but they showed that there was like a chance of success, even though the one they showed was 100%. But it sounds like obviously that means there's some characters that you have a chance of failure. And they noted that if you fail, your reputation in this town will drop. So there's a reputation meter or of some stat that can affect your character and the story, it seems, based on how people see your character.
That's quite fascinating, actually, because it means you can't necessarily just challenge or allure people on a whim. You really have to take into consideration whether the risk is worth the reward and whether you should challenge or allure, because one might have a different success rate over another. And it sounds like a really fascinating take on this RPG system.
Yes. I'm very encouraged that this is the same producers of Bravely Default, and I loved Bravely Default. That is one of my favorite RPGs. Like, it's one of the few new RPGs that I've really gotten into. And knowing it's the same people also makes me very excited for the demo they announced that's available right now. Because as I mentioned, Bravely Default did that brilliant thing where the demo was almost like a chapter 0, and you got to carry over a few things that you did into the main game. So it was almost like a preamble story. So I'm itching to... I've already downloaded it, and I'm probably going to play that like as soon as I hit the bed later tonight.
Yeah, and I love that they shadow dropped it too. They announced that it was coming out. The demo was coming out immediately after the broadcast. I love when that happens.
Yeah. Other than that, we just showed off some battle stuff. I mean, it also reminds me of Bravely Default in that it has this boost system where you save up BP, which is the exact same name of the battle points you saved up in Bravely Default, and then you would cash them in at the right time to
strengthen your attacks and really deal a critical blow.
Yeah.
With timing considerations.
Right. So that was a very huge part of how you strategized in Bravely Default, was picking turns where, you know what, maybe I'm not going to do so many actions now, but then there would be a turn where you want to just cash those in, and you really want to turn the tables or take advantage of a weakness. And and I love those sprites. I think those sprites are perfect, and the background mix with all the HD graphics, it's totally...
They did announce that there's going to be an ARMS update available now. It's version 3, which includes Alola Pop, her exclusive or signature arms, and the ability to remap your controls.
Yes.
That's a great addition. I'm glad that they've finally included it.
I think that's because, honestly, I adapted to the control scheme it has, but I feel like I did naturally want to hit some different things for, my punches and blocks and such.
Right.
Dragon Quest Builders, that's coming out spring 2018, so it's a little ways off, but they showed off a little trailer for it, showed off the free build mode, and the Switch exclusive Great Saber Cub, which is a little mount, a little tiger you can ride that lets you move around faster and get certain items out of enemies too, which was kind of cool. Are you interested in Dragon Quest Builders?
Yeah. I think it's worth checking out just because it's Dragon Quest, and I'm getting the Rune Factory vibe of it, where you can compartmentalize the Minecraft building side of it with the RPG elements. It could be fun.
Okay, very cool. Again, not too much new. I mean, again, everything that you want to know about that, you could probably just look up what like the other versions that are already out, like the Vita ones.
Yes.
Kirby Star Allies. I was expecting to see some good Kirby stuff today, and they showed off a lot more depth about how this works.
Right. They definitely emphasized teammates and ally abilities. In this game, you can combine your abilities with your teammates in order to have even more varied effects. I really dug that they came up with combining the bomb ability with the wind ability to form air balloons that can allow you to traverse heights. And it's a unique take on the system.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and just anything that promotes interesting ways of teaming up with your friends rather than just everyone randomly attacking everything on screen. Pretty cool. So I like that they're going a little further with that. And I gotta say, another point where people cheered and went kind of crazy is when that Diesel DDD show popped out. They were freaking out at him.
That was weird. I called him DDD Kong because he looked like a Donkey Kong DDD.
I call him DD Diesel.
DD Diesel. We'll see. He really got swole.
Yes. And then they just showed off a whole bunch of dates with a rapid fire of Nindies and stuff. We got, again, SteamWorld Dig 2, September 21st. Just reminding us that's coming. Golf Story just said September, which kind of makes me worried if they don't have a strong date for it yet. I'm kind of worried that it might get delayed.
Yeah.
Nine Parchments, which is the blast 'em up game. It's the beat 'em up co-op 4-player brawler, which is holiday 2017, as well as Battle Chef Brigade, which is the Adult Swim game that looks like a Flash game. Tiny Metal did not have any date on it. That's the other Advance Wars type game.
Right. It developed in Japan.
Yes, right. Super Meat Boy Forever, it's coming out 2018. They randomly just mentioned the randomly constructed stages in there so it's kind of like, I'm guessing like procedurally generated, maybe. Lost Sphere, January 23rd next year. Sonic Forces, November 7th. Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2, November 28th. And the big one this week actually was LA Noire, which was announced by Rockstar Games.
I'm so excited for this, Casey. We haven't seen a Rockstar game on a Nintendo platform for a while.
And this is a really good one to come out. This is a great kind of, it's not just like, a Rockstar game. It's not like just some like, Grand Theft Auto action. It's a interesting, deep story game with investigation and a pretty good, cast of characters. And I never actually played it on the other systems.
It's one of those rare Rockstar games where you get to play as a very clear good guy.
Yeah, I guess so. That's right. It has class. It's got a good, it feels like a very classy kind of game,
Yeah, I think it's a great way for Rockstar to dip their feet into the Nintendo Ocean. Then they can dive in with another GTA in the future or something.
This caught me by surprise, though, honestly, because it's just not a game I thought of coming to the Switch, and it makes perfect sense. It also is going to have all the DLC from the previous versions of the game. It's going to have some Joy-Con mode and touchscreen controls, so you can literally, because a lot of it's point-and-click adventure-y kind of stuff, so that makes sense.
This is a big deal, and I'm excited for these more hardcore developers coming to the Switch. It's showing a lot of confidence on the Nintendo Switch as a platform.
And they wrapped up the event with the last title, Super Mario Odyssey, which they would get reconfirmed October 27th, and they started with a recap. Waka waka.
Recap.
Yeah. Just kind of went over what the game was about. They showed off 2 new kingdoms. There was the Snow Kingdom and this town of Shiveria, and the Seaside Kingdom with the city of Boblane. And we got to see some beachy and some wintry environments there. They really went into depth with showing us how many moons there are. Like, I thought there was going to be, a lot, sure, but I was still thinking like each kingdom might have like 10 to 20 of them. Kind of like the Mario 64, like you got to a place, there were 6 of those things defined in each world. But it looks like there was like 50 of these moons at least per kingdom.
This definitely reminded me of the Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild. Yeah. I feel like the moons in Odyssey are the Korok seeds.
That could be about it, yeah. They're just everywhere, and some of them are, obviously bigger challenges, like a boss to beat them. But some of them are just like, hey, just explore every nook and cranny and you'll come across them. And that's going to give a lot of content. And I love the idea of, exploring around these worlds. And I think I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of this.
Yeah, I was very surprised at the scale of the levels and kingdoms in this game.
Yeah.
It didn't necessarily seem like a full-fledged open world, but the areas you explored, each kingdom seemed quite massive. Mm-hmm. Quite large.
Like, you could just look in the videos, you could just see how far out, the world is rendered, and obviously there's just stuff everywhere, just to go either under the water or inside this cave, and so that's going to be fun. And, playing a 2-player, having another set of eyes, if you're playing it with a friend, and just, the second player can keep an eye out also for places to go and things like, I think I see one up there on that hill. Let's go dig up there. But if you have a hard time finding these moons, they showed off that there are places to get hints. There's a little bird talkatoo. There's like a parrot, and there's Hint Toad, which you can pay for, hints on where some of them are. And you can even use Amiibo and use them with a little Roomba-looking thing called Uncle Amiibo. All of those will help you find more of these things.
Now, they even included mini games in this in Odyssey. They even had a Koopa free running, jump rope, an RC car challenge. I think they even showed off the original Donkey Kong.
Yeah, it was like kind of like that gameplay. I don't know if that's like just part of a regular stage or not, or if that was, because that wasn't shown as part of the mini games, but it kind of looked like a mini game in part of the stage.
Yeah, this game, there's a lot to this game, a lot more to it than I expected. And they even included the ability to have leaderboards for these mini games. You can compare scores and times online with other people.
Yeah. Also, if you're one of those people who's into it, they showed off the snapshot mode if you want to take some fancy screen caps. And I like that it's not just a screen cap like from the camera angle you got. Once you cap, you can then manipulate or rotate the image, change it with filters, blur the background, do all sorts of stuff, and modify pictures. I don't see myself using this too much, but I totally see a subset of people playing this game who are going to make a lot of really crazy, like meme-ish pictures out of this.
I'm very excited to see what our community will discover and take pictures of, because we have a community gallery section on the Discord chat, True. I expect a lot of you guys to fill that area with awesome Mario Odyssey screenshots.
Yeah, I mean, some of those filters looked really cool. Like the one that made it look like a painting, and it added a lot of epicness to some of them. It was pretty good options. They also showed the wedding amiibos again, but they finally revealed what they do, and we saw that the Mario amiibo, say that 5 times fast.
Mario amiibo.
I said 5 times fast. Gives you temp invincibility, whereas Peach gives you a life up heart, and Bowser reveals the regional coin locations. And they mentioned that all other amiibo are supported, so who knows what they do, but it's a reason to whip out all of your collection there.
Now, we would definitely be remiss to skip talking about the Crazy Cap. Apparently, there's going to be outfits in this game, Casey. Yes, so essentially, the Crazy Cap is a store where you can buy outfits and stickers and customizability options for Mario himself. You can dress him up as a safari person, as Dr. Mario, as Mario Maker Mario. It's pretty. It seems like a pretty fun additional element to this game that really adds a lot of options and how you approach everything.
Yeah, like you could pick the thematically appropriate outfit for him in one stage, or just go for whatever your personal favorite is. Yeah, it's a good reason to actually collect coins, because honestly, we only collect them out of like some Pavlovian response that we have, where we get endorphins from collecting them. But actually spending those coins on something like this makes it more rewarding and worthwhile to go hunt down all those gold coins on the worlds.
Right, it doesn't impact the gameplay, but hey, now you can have a shirtless Mario.
Yes, or Caveman Mario.
Or Caveman Mario. So, cool stuff.
Yes, and they closed it out with the reveal of the special hardware bundle that will have the Mario Odyssey software plus red Mario Joy-Cons and a Mario-themed carrying case.
Now, it was kind of unclear. I'm not sure if the red Joy-Con are purchasable separately or if they're exclusive to the bundle.
I did not get any impression of them saying that was going to be sold separately, at least not yet.
Right. I'm hoping we can buy the red Joy-Con separately, but...
Maybe you go to that website to customize, the...
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's everything from the Nintendo Direct. We have just a couple of very short little other news. There's just a bunch of updates that came out this week. I'm just going to run them really quick. We had a Nintendo Switch online app update that just better supports voice chat, where you don't have to keep the app open. You can actually have your phone go into sleep mode and still use voice chat, which is just silly that wasn't in there. Some improved support for Bluetooth devices, and just other little things like to make chatting a little bit better.
Yeah, those were the primary criticisms of the Switch app. So maybe now that they updated these features, people would use it more often.
Hopefully. I got a few more things to do, but yeah. 8-bit controllers have a firmware update. Apparently it was a little bit laggy, so if you're using one of those controllers, check out the firmware update and, tighten up those controls. Fast RMX got one.
AI drivers have been improved in their difficulty, and a bunch of additional bug fixes, which Fast RMX sometimes needs.
And another game that you had gotten your hands on also got an update, Overcooked Special Edition. Just some, tweaks to HD Rumble, fixes for bugs, that kind of thing. General frame rate and performance improvements. So
right, I remember during my review, the biggest problem was that the frame rate dipped,
right,
and it could be distracting. So now it's all silky smooth, apparently.
And a Splatoon 2 rebalance update, just tweaking the damage and all that sort of stuff on a few guns.
Yep.
And we'll just go through the new releases for this week and what else coming out. We got, again, as you mentioned, NBA 2K18, Neuro Voider, Double Dragon 4, Light Spear, Double Spear Edition, Rayman Legends Definitive Edition, Kingdom New Lands, which I played, Semispheres, which you played, Beach Buggy Racing, Pan Pan, A Tiny Big Adventure, 36 Fragments of Midnight, and Spin Master, which is a yo-yo-based brawler game from the Neo Geo age.
Right. On September 15th, Robonauts is coming out. September 20th, Soldam, Drop, Connect, Erase, and Morphight are coming out. September 21st, Steam World Dig 2 and Thimbleweed Park are coming out. And the big September 22nd, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, the Lego Ninjago movie, video game, and Pokken Tournament DX. As you can tell, this week has been jam-packed. We definitely wanted to focus as much of our attention on that Nintendo Direct as possible, but we'll get your feedback and we'll cover Community Pulse next week when we'll have more time to dive.
I was greatly endeared by how many people were hyped about Octopath from this whole thing, and that really did go over well with them. And the demo already from those people I'm jealous of who are playing it now are already pretty positive. And other than that, I think we got a few comments from Doom and Wolfenstein on Switch are instant buys, so very motivational games there. Really, really hyped out there, people. But thank you guys who left us comments regardless of the fact that we knew it was going to be a tight episode.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let me close this up and just remind everybody, we have the Patreon page at patreon.com/theswitchcast, and that is where the coolest of the cool listeners go, and they pledge their support at $1 a month, $5 a month, $2.65, whatever you prefer. But every dollar helps us keep this show going and making it awesomer. So definitely please check that out. And it also gives you some rewards like getting to come on our special episode this weekend with the Zelda cast. Also, review us on iTunes. We're at 99 reviews. I want to break 100. Can somebody listening, just one of you, just give me a review? I could say I have 100 great reviews. Really. We
will know who that 100th person is at this point.
That's true, especially if you leave like a written review. I will totally give you a shout out. So, in fact, everyone who gives us a review, I will call out all your names that I haven't before in the next episode. All right? Even if you're someone who reviewed us before, I'm just going to give you nice shout outs. We have the Discord chat. Link in the show notes. Join the community there. Always talking, always fun. And you can email us. I'm KC@theswitchcast.com, and he's JV@theswitchcast.com.
That's right. And if you want to reach out to us on a public forum, we have a Twitter. That's twitter.com/theswitchcast. Instagram as well @theswitchcast. We have an awesome Facebook group, which is really booming, as always. We have the SwitchCast friends list that you can find friends with. That's going to be in the show notes and in the Facebook group. Thank you, HeatleyBros, for the theme music. And until next time,
switch it up.